Kids hurrying up, we're going to get the picture taken with Mommy. Uncle Artie painted something he made for the girls. Pretty soon he gets busy and gets with it. I think he found out I was taking this picture. So quit playing with it in a minute. Oh, you see, he found out I was taking this picture. There's Uncle Harry. He died in 98. He lived next door to me where I live now. I'm from the cemetery, next to the old house. He loved those two girls, especially Caroline. He'd make little things for her, and have little parties for her. And Aunt Fanny, of course, his wife. They all loved them, my girls. Look at the old cars back 45 years ago. There's, I think Floyd and I have been fishing out Lake Buffalo, I'm pretty sure. Yep. Not Lake Buffalo, but Royster. There's Mary, Floyd's wife, Caroline. That's over at the old house, the old swings, the old barn. There's Aunt Elizabeth in the background. Ma's, my mother-in-law's sister. She lived here for several years. She died at 98. And down in near Homestead, Coral Gables. And Elizabeth. Her son is living down in Coral Gables, and her daughter is living in West Palm Beach, Betty and Stephen. She had about Elsie's age. Elsie would be 86 years old now as she was living. Artie and Bertha were pulling some of my radishes out back, the old farm. I believe they were getting ready to go back to Connecticut, Bertha and Artie. Pretty sure of it. His daddy has two girls. Harold and Bob, one of my boats, trying to ski. Boy, can Caroline paddle fast, can't she? Looking good, Caroline, looking good. There's Mary, Peggy, some of the gang, family. There's William and Ben, Gertman. Ben is in Tallahassee now, and William is in Mulberry. That's Harold and that round board that I was telling you about 4 foot in diameter. That's the canal where I first had it dug. First trip. Now that's all houses. All down. That's the first car came down after I had it dug. First car. Joe and Thelma Sherritt's. And they're coming out to the point. There's the point. Our first shack out there. We had many and many a wonderful day out there. Joe and Thelma. Joe is dead. He died in an airplane accident. I guess Thelma's still living. They went to school together, Thelma and Elsie, way back in the 20s, early 20s. Just cutting up. There's Mary and... How about slowing this film down so I can get everything in? There's Mary and Mildred. Mildred always hide naturally. That's Bob's house I built down up the street here. That's Leslie up there working. Well, I didn't build it for Bob, but Bob bought it. We all worked on it, all 5 boys. That's Floyd. This is a particular day the whole family came down and watched us. We had a picnic, I believe. That was Leslie up on top of the roof, putting down the ceiling joists. I think Bob bought that house for about $7,500, the whole works. Mildred, hiding again, as per usual. There's Floyd and Mary, Floyd's first wife. A real nice girl, real nice. We all loved her. Floyd didn't behave himself, so we lost her. There's Aunt Carrie, the one that owned this house, did, and that's Ma, my mother-in-law, Elsie's mother. She died at 87. Pa died at 86, 1937, the day after I got married. Ma died in 1950, I believe. Bertha and Aunt Carrie. That's the houses, that's the old farm down the street here. That's the new houses across the street. That was a cornfield at one time, right across the street here where I'm sitting. In my little shack way out back. Redwood House. My little farm in the middle of the city. Already reading the paper. Caroline up on my porch on the old house, which I'd added onto it upstairs, where else had I slept. There she comes, Miss America, down at the old house, the old farm. Second house where I live now. Long gone. Evidently she'd been to church, it looks like it. That's the backyard down at the farm. Her mother made all their clothes. Very rarely ever bought clothes. Her mother was a seamstress, first class, as well as a musician, not a magician. Elsie cutting up. I had the swings made for the kids. $60 at that time. I think what she wants for Christmas is a tooth. About 6, 7 years old at that time. I bet you wouldn't do that now, Sandy. Hobo week. Cutting up. Uncle Artie don't like this. He don't want to be bothered. He's reading the paper. There, that's a natural setting in the old house. Homemade clothes. Sandy. She hasn't changed too much. I heard you cough, Sandy. There's Caroline. She hasn't changed a whole lot either. Little older. Still pretty. Well, Daddy thinks so anyhow. Caroline at the moment is 54, and Sandy is 47. They're getting up there. Trying to catch up to the old man, Bertha and Aunt Carrie. She's the one who owned this house I'm living in now. That's the new project across the street. Aunt Carrie. Relaxing. Here comes Leslie at noontime. We come home for dinner, and he goes up to eat and come back, pick me up. We go back to work. Day in, day out. We worked 8 years together, Leslie and I did. Building, laying block, pouring concrete, whatever. Except the wiring and the plumbing, we did it all. That's the cemetery way down in the background. There's Leslie coming into the house, probably at dinner time. We weren't fat by no means, that's for sure. Laying blocks, 300 or 400 a day. Leslie mixed mud, built a scaffold, and I laid the blocks. Uncle Harold been out golfing. He just come by the old house. He doesn't play golf anymore. His back's gone bad. And if you notice, he has no stomach. Back in the 50s. And that's a relative from up north. Stopped by. Forgot his name. One of the clan. That's down back to Bob's house. The 5 boys are there, all helping. Harold scratches his ass, a butt. There's Leslie smoking, Bob, Floyd, Harold, and Sam, the 5 boys. We were all working, trying to get Bob's house done. At that time, we knew Bob was going to buy it, that's why. It was on a weekend, Sunday. Floyd was always the tallest, the biggest. Bob at one time got up to 200 pounds up north when he's flying. See how small Leslie and I are compared with them? They're way taller than we are. There's my dad. My dad was there too. There's Mary, Floyd's ex-wife. Juliet, Illinois is where she came from and went back, I believe. She used to write to Elsie till Elsie died. Because Elsie died in 1969. Leslie up on the roof of Bob's house, cigarette in his mouth. There's my father. He had, what do you call it? Asthma, real bad asthma. Hard to breathe. There's Debbie and I don't know who that. Back to Lake Buffin again. The Gertman boys. There's Joe. My little boat. Harold skiing. There's Peggy fishing. Joe and Thelma going into the woods. Just at the point, Lake Buffin. That's the porch. Every bit of that material was brought across by boat. We couldn't get to it any other way. Harold. Or is that me? I guess it's Harold. Peggy, Mildred. That's part of Caroline's friends. Peggy. Joe shared skiing. It's all taken to Lake Buffin now. That's our old fishing hole, plenty of fish. Bunch of kids at Caroline's friends and whatever. There's Debbie and Caroline. Little Joe. Oh, Betty Ann, little Joe. Betty Ann Sherritt's and little Joe. That's Joe and Thelma's kids. That was Mildred. And yours truly on around board. That's the one I almost broke my neck on. I tried it 3 times. The 3rd time I made it, but I'm paying for it yet, even today, 45 years later. Almost a broken neck. Nope. Now this time I make it, the 3rd try. But you go about 60 miles an hour, and when you hit the water at that speed, something's going to happen. I finally made it. But the next day I knew all about it. In a cast. Yours truly on skis. This is a minor lake here, minor cove we called it. That's on the west side of the point. That's Lake Buffin out there, of course. One ski, watch me fall probably. Yep, sure did. They wouldn't pull the 2 skiers though, just wouldn't, a 15 horse wouldn't pick them up. there's Debbie Stickney, a redhead. Making mud pies, I guess. This is still out at the point, Lake Buffum. I allowed no booze out there. That was a no-no. And nobody complained back in those days either. Here comes Sandy, probably from church it looks like, Caroline in the background. Must be a Sunday. That's a new project across the street, in the old cornfield. I'm looking at it now through the window here at my shack. Yep, Sunday. Oh, school, getting home from school, I saw the school papers. We're back out Lake Buffum now, where I had to fill in to be real high for home and so forth. It's all developed now. We're out there target shooting. Bob, Dad, Leslie, Harold. Floyd wasn't there. I was taking the movies. Nobody out there then but us. Had 14 acres. Well, I ended up with about 10 acres of land. I sold it off in parcels. It's all built up now. There's the point of the old ark. That's wind. I wish it was like that today, but it isn't. The cove there is halfway closed up between Miners Cove and Lake Buffum. Beautiful place. Lots of memories. All good. There's a storm